Thursday evening live. Hope you've all had a good week. I'm sure you can still feel these eclipse energies affecting everyone. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the laws of reflection and projection, mainly because it's so important in our lives. And I know I've spoken about it before, but sometimes we just need a reminder that what we're seeing in front of us is teaching us something. It's showing us something about ourselves that we need to look at. And the law of projection, the law of reflection are two of the most important things I've ever learned in my life. And over the last 20 years on this journey through consciousness and raising consciousness, I've made notes in my phone or wherever I was, whenever I've seen anything being projected back to me in the magic mirror of the world out there that I felt was either a trigger, created a charge in me, or made me want to voice my opinion in some way. Anything like that is a charge. So whatever you're seeing out there, it's there for a reason. It's there to help you to see what's in your cubes of consciousness. And by your cubes of consciousness, I mean all the pixelated parts of every memory, is everything you've ever experienced, and so on. And what you've inherited, not just that, what you brought through this lifetime, but what you've inherited from your ancestral lineages and stuff like that. So first of all, let's talk about the law of projection. So basically everyone around us, we project what's in our consciousness, what's in our DNA, what's in our belief systems onto the people around us. Our emotions, our likes, our dislikes, our shadow aspects, and our light. You know, the good is projected back to us as well. I generally tend to talk about the things that are projected back to us that create a charge in us, like anger or judgment or something like that. When we've also got the positive aspect of it, when you're seeing the light in other people, when you're seeing the grace in other people, when you're seeing the compassion and the kindness in other people, that's also the law of projection of your compassion and your grace and your kindness. So, you know, remember it's a two-way thing. There's light and dark in all of it. But there may be times when you're seeing that projection in people and you're feeling adamant that they're projecting their stuff onto you and it's nothing to do with you, and it's causing, you know, it's upsetting you, or it's causing you to be unhappy or angry or so on and so forth, and you're really believing that it's not in you. Well, if there's any charge at all, any kind of trigger, judgment, anger, anything like that, there is something in you that the universe is showing you through this other person. They reflect back to us like a mirror our own shortcomings and our own, you know, grace and our own beautiful side as well. So there's always two sides to it, unless you've mastered being in neutral all the time, and then you don't even notice it. It's like water off a duck's back. So when we've got something like that going on, it's important to make a note of it. I did it for years and years. I used to listen to conversations, see what was going on when I was out and about, and make notes in my phone about what I saw today. And it could be, you know, being angry or being childish or being bitchy or something like that. If you heard it and thought, oh, that wasn't a very nice thing to say, even thinking that means that there's something in your cubes of consciousness, or else you wouldn't have even thought that. When you think absolutely nothing at all about it, you know you're in a good space, because there's no trigger, there's no judgment, there's no need to go and interfere or put people right or teach someone a lesson or any of that stuff. All of that stuff's ego. And it's all lower ego, and there are different levels of ego. You know, when you're working with your higher ego, you tend to sit back more. That's something I've learned to do in my life. I tend to sit back more when I'm in company now, listen more than I speak. And believe it or not, most of you only know me on here, and I'm always talking when I'm on here. But most of the time, I'm pretty quiet. I tend to spend a lot of time alone and in silence, and I quite like it, to be honest. The older I've got, the more and more I enjoy it. Just being in the moment and being fully present is a gift. And it's taken me a lot of years to get here. I used to lead a very busy life, you know, lots of friends, always out, always doing this, always doing that. And then over the last 15 years, it's kind of slowed down and slowed down and slowed down. I still mix with people, but nowhere near as much as I used to. And every time I do, I'm grateful to the universe for bringing those people into my life, because they're always teaching me something. And it doesn't matter how small it is, it's always another step up the rung on the ladder to being a more refined and better human being. But I did fall into the trap of only noticing the negative stuff, so that I was always picking on myself, that I wasn't good enough. You know, I've seen this in somebody and it did trigger me, or it did make me angry, or it did hurt me, and just focusing on that, because I've always been on this self-refinement, self-purification kind of path, and forgetting to, you know, see that the light that I see in other people and the kindness and the compassion that I'm seeing in other people is also worthy of me giving myself a pat on the back. And I'm hoping that you pick up on that in this video, because I know a lot of you are out there doing a lot of work on yourselves to become more refined and to level up, as I call it. But remember that when you see good in other people, and that doesn't matter who it is, that's also a reflection of you projecting that your goodness, your kindness, your compassion, your grace, your light, and so on. So give yourself a pat on the back now and then. We all deserve a pat on the back now and then. The thing with it is, it's never going to go away. There's always, until we become, you know, fully enlightened beings, there's always going to be someone out there that's got something to share, that's teaching us something. So it can get where we get into it too intense, and then we can get into it where we're not even noticing it at all, especially when it's about relationships, personal, intimate relationships, work relationships, family relationships, partner relationships. We can get stuck into, they're doing this, they're not doing what, you know, they should be doing, judgment. They're making me unhappy. Why are they making you unhappy? Why are you allowing them to make you unhappy? There's always a choice. You can choose to be happy or unhappy. It's not up to them to be doing it for you. It's how you respond rather than react to what you're seeing around you. For example, you may have a partner who's drinking too much, and you drink, but you don't drink as much as them. Is the universe showing you drinking is not good for you? Or is it just, well, he or she is drinking too much, and that's all you're noticing, and not realising that the universe is giving you a poke to have a look at your own drinking or your own overconsumption of whatever that is. Maybe somebody is too opinionated, and is there a part of you that can be opinionated? And making a note of it, and then when you've got your quiet times where you call it meditation. Meditation can be walking on the beach, walking in the park, just, sitting on a bench somewhere in quiet. That's meditation. You don't have to be sitting on a lotus leaf, in that kind of position. Meditation is just being self-reflective. It's just, allowing answers to come to you when you ask a question of your higher consciousness. But doing it from a place where you've gone for a walk, and if you've been upset by something and you're trying to find answers, don't try and do it when you're angry, for example. Go for a walk in nature maybe, and then find a space where you've just allowed yourself to clear your head, or have a think about it the next day when you've slept on it. It's always a good thing to never go to bed on an argument. And if you're in a relationship, always kiss one another good night. Even if you're feeling in a bad mood, it's not difficult. And things like that make a big difference. Our partners are coming into our lives, and they're the ones that are going to be reflecting the most back to us, because we're with them most of the time. Family come next, and so do your work colleagues. I don't think there's anyone out there that hasn't worked out in the world somewhere, in an office or wherever, and there's been somebody at work that has upset them in some way, or is too opinionated, or likes to stir up trouble, or is aggressive, or is ungrateful. All of these things are in our own consciousness, in our own cubes of consciousness. And if we were taught this when we were younger, we would start to analyse things before we got into judging other people, falling out with other people, and take a step back and go, well, what is, the universe using this person to show me that I need to look at something in myself in order for me to level up. And what's going on now with the planetary alignments and things like that, there's a lot of it going on. I'm really noticing it in relationships. And this is about the heart being cleared. So obviously that's going to involve hurt, unforgiveness, anger, all of these things. People are going to be prodding at your heart for many reasons. It may be that it's about learning to forgive, or you're holding on to something that your partner did 5 years ago and it's still niggling, you're still holding a little bit of unforgiveness or a little bit of anger in your heart towards that person. And then all of a sudden you find that you're having an argument, and that is brought up into the argument, and either party, women are really good at remembering when their partner's hurt them. I'm sorry girls, but we are. Men tend to, they're in the one box, they close that box, they go to the next box. Women remember everything, and sometimes they don't let their partners away from it, with it. And I know men can do it as well, but it is what it is, ladies. Anyone out there probably going, yeah, we can, we do, we hold on to things. So what's going on at the moment is there's issues being brought on into relationships to trigger anything that we're holding on to in our hearts that we don't need anymore. So it could be old stuff coming up again that is causing problems in relationships. And the worst thing we can do is not communicate about it. It's to, try and push it down, or try and pretend it's all right, or it doesn't matter, or we don't care, when really it's being brought up to be healed, and it's being brought up to be released. And there's some really simple techniques that you can do to let go of this kind of thing. Even if you're not into healing, or you don't know anything about therapy, just visualization. If you just go and find somewhere nice and quiet to sit, and just take some deep breaths, in and out, 5 or 6 deep breaths, and just go into your heart, be in your heart. And if you've got something in there that somebody has upset you, or you feel there's unforgiveness, or there's something from the past that is still niggling away, and you want to get rid of it, just imagine that you've got a balloon in your hand, and that on that balloon, or in that balloon, all of that anger, all of that upset, and just close your eyes and hold that balloon, sit with it, let it come in, let it come up, let yourself feel it. You may feel the anger coming up, you may feel like you want to cry, just keep your eyes closed, allow it to come up, and then when you're ready, when you've given yourself permission to let go of whatever is in your heart and what's holding you back, because it's only harming you, it's not harming them, unless you're fighting over it, and that's harming you. Doesn't mean that it was okay. Things get done, that's life. We're here to be tested and to learn about relationships and growing, so it's not going to stop happening. But how we hang on to it and how we let it go is important. When you're ready, when you've sat with it, as a friend of mine says, she's going to sit in the mud with it. When you've sat in the mud for long enough, and you've gone, he said, she said, da 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 da, and you've gone, do you know what, I don't need this anymore, giving yourself permission to let it go, and just let the balloon go. And imagine that balloon full of all of that anger, all of that stress, all of that unforgiveness, just floating off into the sun until it just disappears and turns into pure love. It's as simple as that. Simple techniques. These techniques can be used with upset children. Telling a child that they're wrong for being angry is not the way to go. It's like, how do you feel? Give the child, ask them to just take some deep breaths and imagine they've got a balloon full of anger if they feel angry and upset, and let them feel it. Go feel it, allow that anger to come up, and guide them into releasing that balloon into the sun so it's gone. And imagine, that place is filled with pure love. Simple little techniques like this can be used and can make a big difference to volatile situations. And at the moment, heart chakra is being cleared. So there's a lot of stuff in relationships coming up with not just your partners, families, work colleagues, people that maybe your neighbours, anyone at all, even yourself. There may be parts of you that's judging yourself not good enough. And I did this for years and years and years, constantly trying to level up, constantly, looking at myself and going, this could be better, that could be better. Getting to the stage now where it's like, obviously I'm a little bit older and hopefully a bit wiser. Now I look at myself in the mirror every day and I just forgive myself for anything I've ever said or anything that I've ever done wrong. And I'm learning to say, as I always say to you guys, I love you. Look in the mirror and I love you to your spirit. Mean it, really mean it. Because one day you're going to see your spirit smiling back at you. And it doesn't look like this. It looks like your spirit. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll sense it. And it's an amazing feeling. Absolutely blissful feeling. When we learn to start forgiving ourselves, it becomes easier to start forgiving everyone else around us. It's one of the most important things that we can do. Can you imagine if everyone sat around a table and talked about what's really going on instead of going over and over and over and gnawing at what's gone on in the past, still feeling angry about it years later, instead of, do you know what, let's sit around, let's talk about this and let's decide we're not going to hang on to this any longer and try and come up with solutions. There's more communication is needed in the world with everyone, because the past is going to come back and haunt us if we don't start healing all of the things that have gone on in the past. I'm talking about intergenerational trauma, intergenerational racism. All of this type of stuff has got to be healed, because it's not going to go away. We live in a holographic simulator that's got all of those programs running in it, and until they're deleted, the same old is going to keep coming up in society. And there are, you know, I do believe, as many of you do, that there are agendas out there to keep us separate. This eclipse was a big one about bringing the light and dark together, bringing the male and female together, bringing the masculine and divine masculine, divine feminine together, and looking beyond good and evil, light and dark, into that neutral space, into that space of pure love. People think neutral means nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. It just means that you're in the zone. You're in that pure love zone. There's not a better word for it. Blissful. You know, there's lots of different words for it, depending on what systems you follow and things like that. I'm not involved in any spiritual belief systems. I never have been. I stopped going to church when I was 13 for good reason. I decided I didn't like the teachings and that there was a God. And I did believe that there was at the time, that I was a good kid and, you know, did my best to be the best I can. And I had quite a staunch Catholic upbringing. I went to church 3 times a week. It's a lot. And then at 13, I just told my parents I'm not doing this anymore. And they were both okay with it. My mum not so much, but my dad was like, you're old enough to make your own mind up, rather than having that dogma forced onto me. And I also found out, actually, that church organs put your consciousness into theta brainwave frequency. Well, those of you that have listened to me over the last few years on here, theta brainwave frequency is the frequency we're in for the first 7 years of our life, when we absorb everything. And that goes into deep into our subconscious. So that's the programming that is used to download dogma and belief systems into people's consciousness through the religious systems. I don't agree with it, but it's very cleverly done in that respect. So all of these things need to be thought about, and clearing your heart is one of the most important things that you can do, particularly your higher heart. So what I thought I'd show you today is how to stimulate your higher heart chakra. You've got this heart, and then you've got your throat, and in the middle is your higher heart. So very simple. If you just close your eyes for me and just take a couple of deep breaths. Just bring yourself into the present moment, into that space in your higher heart. And it's a really simple exercise that you can do and share with people. So all we're going to do is take a nice deep breath down into your abdomen and in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we're going to tap on your sternum 3 times, and we're going to do that 3 times. So it's 3 breaths, 3 taps each time. Okay? So when you're ready, just take a nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose, down into your abdomen, and out through your mouth. And then tap, tap, tap on your higher heart, and then again. And out. Tap, tap, tap. And again. And out. Tap, tap, tap. Excellent. That stimulates the higher heart chakra, gets that chakra energy vortex moving in your system. And this is the unconditional love area. People talk about love all the time. I've had lots of conversations about love. But the higher heart is that purest, unconditional love, the kind of love that you feel for your child when they can do no wrong. And it's a much purer frequency. And this is what we need to be bringing into the world. It's a beautiful, accepting, compassionate, blissful kind of feeling that we understand that everyone is here on a journey and that we're all in this school together and that we're all reflecting that what we need to teach one another. We've got contracts with one another, what we've agreed to learn. And the law of projection and the law of reflection is a massive tool that is worth understanding and knowing about, because when you've got the knowledge of what's going on and you can take a step back instead of reacting to what's going on with people around you, take a step back and just analyse. What is the law of projection and reflection showing me here? What is it I need to release? What is this person showing me about myself? And as I say, it could be positive, it could be negative, it doesn't matter. But the most important thing is not to judge yourself for it. We've come into this life to clear all these programs and patterns out of our system because it projects the world around us. And the world gets better. Every single tiny thing that you do to improve yourself every day, and that could be just sitting in silence for 5 minutes. That's a self-improvement, because for that 5 minutes, you've brought that beautiful, blissful energy into your field, and that's projecting into the world around you. And if we were all doing it for longer, more and more of that peaceful projection is going to be spread across the world. So we're all helping everyone. We're making a better world for everyone concerned. Okay, guys? So that's all I wanted to share with you this evening, and hopefully I'll see some of you soon in the academy. And if you're new to me, you can have a look at my stuff in the links below. And have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.